Hello and have a nice day, my beloved viewers from outside of Germany. Now, as you might realize, this is the very first episode in English language. I received some comments that I have viewers only talking English and not understanding what I'm talking about, and that the subtitles were not there or only from time to time. So this is why I decided to have at least one episode in English, and maybe we have some more in the future, and we have them parallel to German versions. Now, as you might recognize, that my English is not the very best, but I try my very best to give you an entertaining time of my building progress here in Transport Fever 2, and as we Germans would say, Schönbau, which means building in beauty, or something like that. Well, this is episode 100 and something, and I call it the Forgotten Areas. I had one episode some months or years ago already, in which I showed some areas of my map which I simply forgot. And then I reminded my beloved little childs and went back to them just to see that they need some remodeling, reconstruction and some makeover. And this is what I wanted to show you here in this episode. Well, I returned to one of my lost areas, and I made some short videos about progress and what I do to make them look great again, or to make some additions, because inside those areas there are little sections, and those sections were pretty blank, like white spaces on the map. So this is what I will show you somewhere later in this recording. Now, here we are in an area which has very little village already, and at the edge of the village there was, in my opinion, a bit too much of blank space. So this is why I decided to add something to it. Now, as you see, I decided to build a little farm. So this is a ready kit from the Steam Workshop. It says the Farmer mod or something like that. So I just placed the farm here on the grass and gave it a little bit of texture, add some horses and carts, tractor and all that stuff to give it a little bit of life or something like that. So, as you see, no big deal here. And to the left of the farm, there's still some space left over. And I was wondering what we could place there. And I decided to use Ingo's nice buildings. And in this case, I use one with a road connection, because I wanted to have cars driving in and out of it to liven up the area a little bit. Then a little wooden fence around it, and then we have our small part finished. Now we need to throw in some assets to make it look great. So I decided to have apple trees, some bushes, here a little bench, here caravan, a small shed, stuff like this. Just throw in whatever you like and what you think might fit the little scenery. Oh, here an old car. Let's say this is a friend of old car and carts. Oh, okay, this is pretty fine. And then we can put a boat on it. Oh, I think Ingo has a ready one already. Yeah, so why not picking this one? Okay, let's see. Oh no, we make a carriage on that. I think carriage is a pretty nice idea, to have an old coach or carriage, and let's say he's a collector and builds and refurbishes them. Oh, there's a few dustbins, recycle bins. Here, a little stuff for the children. Okay, now we have a horse carriage here. One in the backyard. Oh, is there another one? Small one. Yeah, this is pretty fine. Okay, why not? Place it here somewhere in the bushes. Good. Okay. An old wooden wheel, axle, and this on top. Let's see if it fits. It does not always. It depends on the angle of view, and you might realize when planting bushes or trees in pots, for example, then you will see, yeah, they are somewhere else, but not where where you expected them to stick. So this is the same with the carriage here, but I think it's looking pretty good. So what else do we have? Some equipment or stuff which might fit the scenery. So in the loose space between them, yeah, we fill with some bushes and trees, or make it look green again. Well, nice. So this is a section within an area which was a little bit refurbished and received some additional scenery, and yeah, that makes it look good, as I think, because before it was a bit blank. Okay, a few meters from that what we built just, there is a very little village, and they are specialized on hop growing. You see here, I use the cucumber plants from Ingo's planting mod, and this makes planting the hop very easy, because as you see on the feed I created in the past, they are steel pillars, which I added the little bushes, and that was a lot of work, because you need to click and raise them in height all the time, and then go from pole to pole and add the bushes, and that was pretty annoying. That this is why my hop field is so small. Now, well, here the area around the houses was filled with tar and gravel and stuff like this, and now it gets recoloring. And we use this pretty nice texture of old stones here and here, and then we will place some cars and sheds and stuff like that to make it look pretty nicely. Why I do this? This is the question I was sometimes asked. It's pretty simple, because I like to play with my map. Really, indeed. I like to view the trains, I like to view the cars and trucks, and I like to walk through my little sections and areas and to have a look at them as anyone else would have when viewing a model railway. Okay, add some traffic signs so people know to drive pretty slow in here, because it's a narrow road, and here's the stop sign because there's the main road. It wouldn't make sense to add traffic lights here. They are very expensive, and the county didn't want to spend that much money for that little rotten village here, so this is why it only has stop signs. Okay, this is a German village sign, so everyone who passes the sign knows here starts the village, and you only must drive 15 kilometers per hour. And this village is so small that when you pass the hello village sign, you also already passed the goodbye village sign. Pretty funny, but nevertheless. Okay, some more hop plants here, although there are cucumbers, but who cares? It looks fine, and it saves me a lot of work. Well, since the buildings are kind of floating buildings, I put those elements under them. So neither the stairs are floating nor the buildings themselves. So this old Joe Fried's mod box is very good for solving such issues. Oh, you see here, people need to climb into their houses, and it's pretty dangerous when they want to leave them because they drop 8 feet deep or something like that. So this is why it requires some stairs to be added to the houses, and some of those elements, I don't know what it's called, kind of whatever, foundation or something like that. Okay, so we have the stairs. A lot of tiny work, making me very tired. So I skipped that stairs placing. It's unnecessary because you see what needs to be done here. And yeah, power lines. So since this is an old valley, we have this little building. Yeah, this is connected to the local power grid. And then we have landlines to be placed here. Let's say they go until this point. And from here they go into one of these houses. So we need to have an element to be set on the roof or placed on the roof. Okay, and from there it's spread to the other building and so on. Okay, another one here to make it a more realistic look. Also, we need to go more into detail, and this is a section of the area which is not visited so frequently by me, but nevertheless, I like to have detailed work even in the tiniest corners of the map. Okay, but I think it's pretty fine now. Maybe some more weed, bushes and trees. Okay. Here you see some sheds and huts. Some people. I use Ingo's People Asset mod, which received an update lately, and now this mod contains people from the 19th century, and this is pretty fine for here because we have people with old clothes, and you see here some simulated chicken. Yeah, on the other side of the road, I decided to make to create an old traditional country brewery. So this is why they have this hop planting here, and they carry it by hand right across the road into the local small brewery. And I place a terminal here because I want to have trucks which deliver the grain which is required, and I will also place a mini industry inside the brewery, so I have trucks which pick up the livestock. In this case it's our beer, but beer is not included in the resources of the game. In the basic version, we're not using a mod, so I use livestock or food. Yeah, here we have a pretty ugly road crossing, and I try to make it a little more beautiful by adding those road damage decals from Mad Hatter, which are available in the Steam Workshop. And so I think we remove a little bit of the ugliness by placing those decals here. Yes, you see, I used the tiny terminal, car terminal, vehicle terminal, whatever. So we have an invisible ground, no fences, very short road connections, and this gives us the chance to place some assets here and have a small space for the terminal, because otherwise it would be huge, as you know how the terminals in the game are. You see that I hid the food mini industry inside the building because I don't want to have it visible here, because it doesn't fit to the brewery. And I have placed the mini industry, which comes as that large grain container. So let's say that the trucks empty their load into that grain container, and I used one of those pipes here as a kind of grain vacuum tube or whatever. So this sucks up the grain and transports it into that storage building, and from there into that large silo. Okay, if it makes sense or not doesn't matter. It's just a kind of improvisation. Okay, now I prepare the ground. For the English viewers, they don't know that what I told in German all the time. And if you wonder why I use that gray gravel texture, the reason is that when using this, you can have pretty nice edges when working with stone and street textures and so on, because otherwise they would always flow into the grass and look pretty ugly, as it would look like color flows out of a pen into a piece of cloth or something like that. So when working with that gray gravel texture before, enables you to paint the other textures very nicely and clean onto the ground, and then have pretty clean and straight edges, as you see here. This is the reason why I always prepare the ground, or mostly prepare the ground, with that texture. Okay, you see some progress in between there, or in the meanwhile, that container was or received a little shed from Ingo and the roof, and now we have those barrels from SM1, and I was pretty scared when using them. When I moved them with the mouse, I realized that the whole game was shaking suddenly, and that's because those barrels have so many tris, which means they are a real performance killer. So unfortunately I cannot place so many barrels here, although I like to, and I also needed to remove some, because otherwise this would be a very shaky section of the map when moving over it. Unfortunately, very nice barrels, but pure resource killers. Okay, so some people here, let's say the one here, the guy here, looks into the shed. I'll place someone here on the ramp. Okay, some assets. Or here, pallets. Oh, this is too many cardboard boxes here. They are ready to be loaded into the truck, and that's it. Now, this is the section you see, and here you see the large green part. As I said, I don't want to build or to cover all the green parts with buildings, but this one is really empty because it's also next to a city, and this would never be the case that it remains without any buildings. So this is why I first built a bridge over the train line. First I thought of having a pure pedestrian bridge, but I think I want to have cars as well, so this is why I chose to have a car bridge here. Okay, some foundations here, and that's it. Now we have a large dam, and maybe we can have a road going under it, but the game says no. In the meantime, luckily, there is a mod which enables you to build nevertheless. Also, it says collision, but you can build nevertheless. But this mod is still in beta phase, and I'm testing it with others, and I can say you it's really great. So you see here again, I prepared the ground with the gravel texture, and now I use this texture for, I don't know what it is, wheat field or corn field. No, I think that's wheat. And I mostly add edges with soil, because this is what you usually have. Just go outside in the real life, in the real world, and have a look at field edges, and then you might see those soil edges, or sometimes bushes or weed or whatever. So this is why I added to that field as well. Then I use those tractor roads, and I use the gravel roads, which are pretty fine. Unfortunately, that game annoys me with wanting to snap them onto the road below the ground. So this is very annoying that game always tries to use that the roads and tracks underneath. Okay, so here, or you prepare another field, and we continue dragging that road here along, because as you see, I also added a bridge already for the pedestrians, and that enables the people to cross the railroad tracks when being at this or on the station. So now they have a way to go from the station into the village, and I will add some visitor magnets as well, and buildings with street connections and so on. So we have some movement here, some action. Another field. Okay. Okay, now we have a little bit of diversity here, and then add some bushes and trees. Because again, have a look at field edges, you will see bushes and trees. At least in Germany, I think it's ruled by law that they have to have, that the farmers have to have bushes and trees along the fields to give small animals a place to hide for rabbits, mice. Other animals, dinosaurs, dogs, whatever. So this is why we have it here. And also, it's very important to have hedges because they are carbon monoxide eater. Indeed. So scientists measured the carbon monoxide the hedges had stored, and that was enormous. So this is why hedges are important here. Okay, now along the track and the road, some ready-made buildings with gardens and so on. And what's pretty annoying is that although you say level the ground, the furniture always hangs in the air. So it's not placed on the ground. So this is why you have to raise and lower those buildings all the time until it fits. Now here we have a turning loop, and in the middle we place a nice building. Let me see what we have. Church, no. Church is fine, but why we should have a church here? I know that there is a tower, and here we have a tower. We change it in scale, and this is pretty fine. Let's say that there's an old guard tower or a witch tower. Some magician lived there. Yeah, someone like that. So we place it here. Okay. The old wizard tower. And let's place some bushes around. Therefore, I picked those pink bushes. I think they come from Steam Workshop, and they bring color into the whole scenery. So that's pretty fine. Now we make kind of a necklace, pearl necklace around it, and place some magnolia trees. And now it's looking pretty fine, the old wizard tower. So now this way it loses its darkness. Some gravel around it. Nice. Okay. We could also plant some flowers there, but I think it's okay. Okay, now we need to remove parts of those ugly parts the game creates when using those street connections. Those are the pedestrian connections, and they look pretty ugly in my point of view, and in most cases they are senseless and just make the surroundings ugly. Here I simulate streets, roads and ways, but to have people walking or crossing the tracks and using the bridge, we need to add a real way here, a footpath, so people can use that bridge as they should. Here you see the lines or the lanes. So now as we add a street here, people can use it to cross the railway tracks and use the train station on the other side. Oh, that's pretty fine. So people from the very, 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 very tiny village can use the large train station as well to visit the great wide world, the big wide world, and the city in the background. Okay, now a little bit of preparation. Painting the ground for the small industrial areas, placing some cars and so on, but I don't want to bore you with that. Okay, now to make the areas along the tracks a little bit more nice. I add some bushes, wheat, trees, and so on. And as for the weeds, I use the gray textures provided by Mario Tator, Ingo, and Alpenheuler. They are available in the transportfever.com forum, and I think in the Steam Workshop also. I just use a variety of wheat to have a nice mix, and I think that looks pretty original. So in the large part of that green area, I make some road crossings, and here we will have another small town, or a small town. It looks pretty artificial. Usually towns grow around a church or something like that, but this is something which is from, what is it called? Blue paper, or how do you say it in English? Let me see. Drawing board. Aha, that's at least what the translator tells me. So that when architects draw a town on a drawing board, it looks like this. It looks like a kid would draw a town. So I'm going to have a mix of modern buildings and old buildings in here, and how it looks then. In the end, we will see right now when we go into a more detailed view. Well, so let's have a closer look. This is our brewery. One of the two trucks just leaves the brewery. Another grain truck is still waiting there. And our truck for the supermarket arrives to pick up the beer. Here, butcher shop and grill also grabs some beer for the customers. In here, our performance killer barrels. Okay, the view from the brewery onto our small village, and in the background the high-rise buildings of the town, the city. Two ladies talking, another one with her pigeons, aka doves. Here we have our hop fields, and when we turn right, then we see our small village, and in the background the city. We also have the mountains. Yeah, I think one could have a more bad view than this one. Here's our very, very small village along the railroad tracks. A view from the station to the other side where the village is located. Oh, it's no real village, it's just a small collection of houses. Here a view from the bridge while the S-Bahn is leaving. The Wizard's Tower, the background, and the large building you see is the tools factory. I showed once in a dedicated episode. There's a train passing by. I think this transports iron ore and brings it to some company which makes tools out of it or something like that. Again, a view onto the small collection of houses. And here is another part of the town. Or it's more a living quarter. I don't know how to call it. Or let's say a large collection of houses. Whatever. Yeah, high-rise buildings in the background. Still unfinished, unfortunately. So another spot to continue. Yes, I know the streets are still lifeless, but there will be more cars the more visitor magnets I add to the city. So people are here already, and I think they like it. It's quiet, tidy, clean, very nice. Okay, even the buses drive with electricity. Okay, here's our coachman or carriage man from a close-up. Here our garden with a little cart. the farm. As you see, the flowers look strange, but that the reason for it is obviously that they try to reduce the resource management, and yeah, the result are those not so nice looking textures and flowers, but well, I don't care. Now let's start the drone and have a look from above, and let's have a look where this is all located and what is awaiting us in future episodes. So here is the edge of that one little village. As I said before, or at the beginning of this long, boring video, see the last two houses at the end of the village. Here is the upper part, and this one leads into a little zoo. There was a dedicated episode as well. The zoo is located in the forest. There's also a small restaurant. And here, when we look down and see that very shaky recording, we see our town. In the background, in the upper left corner, there's a circus, and that's the first town I ever built on this map. I think it's the first or the second, I'm not sure. It was called the town in the mountain. As I see it, is the second part gewesen. It was the second part. The first one is more to the left, and when we turn right, we see our new living quarter and the high-rise buildings of the inner city part of our town or city. Okay, let's shake down through the trees. I say shake because it's very shaky. And here's our small brewery, nicely located above a small village. And you see here there is grain waiting to be picked up, and I'm wondering why, because the mini industry is set to awaiting, so it's awaiting grain to be delivered. But whysoever it produces grain. Well, it awaits grain, but also it produces grain. Whysoever. And the other hidden mini industry produces food. So I haven't figured it out yet why we have production and awaiting. I don't know. I have to see. Okay, let's dive down into our small hop village. I dive down into the ground as well. Okay. Now here we see the foundations and the stairs and some people, parked cars. And as we drove into the village, we already drive out again because it's very, very tiny. Oh, that's it. Not that spectacular, but nevertheless something I'd like to continue to build. On the right hand side there's the crater or meteor crater. There was an episode for this as well. And here we have our, well, let's call it living quarter or whatever for the rich and famous. Now this is the large opera house, where in reality this is a theater, I think a Russian theater. This one you can subscribe for in the Steam Workshop. I use it as an opera house, and yeah, it needs some assets to be placed there to make it look great, more than it already does. As you see here, large free areas, white spots on the map, and here those houses are from the French housing pack available in the Steam Workshop. I placed those advertisements on the wall because it was a bit boring from my point of view. And here we have a nice place where people can meet and talk and have a nice day. Now let's look into the streets. They are still pretty empty, but this is going to be changed pretty soon. Yeah, well, in the background there are two railway lines, and that is our city. You also see that there are still green areas, and it's not finished. I painted or renewed some parts of the city already, but many parts still need to be improved and are remained unfinished. In the background, mountains, and as we turn left, you see what we left behind already. So it's pretty much, and I think that the problem we have here is, or the reason for that shaking, is that several buildings are not very optimized when it comes to triangles and stuff like that. So they are also resource killers like our beer barrels, although they are bigger in size. But yeah, nevertheless, they are not very well optimized. We look down here, get more and more into the countryside, more fields, smaller villages, castles, churches. Oh, very nice. I like this section really, really very much because it's so. It really looks like a model railway when you look at it in detail. We have much traffic here and so on. It's very nice to look at. That was our army camp, and now we reach a part I also hadn't shown yet, and this is something which is already, or which had already been done. This is our dairy complex. You see here? Yes, here is where the milk comes from. It's a complete ready-made area I never ever haven't presented. Here is the part showed already, our quarry, and here on top of the mountain, our castle with the restaurant, I think I haven't shown as well. So, 2 other spots for another episode of the Forgotten Areas. Whoa. 2 now as we dove into the mountain and fly up again. Back to where we just came from. Here another part. As you see here, there are some small buildings and stuff along the tracks, and this is something I didn't show yet too. Now as we move up, quickly fly over the tractor repair area here and up the mountains, and that's it. Just for today. Now, come back for the next time when it's Transport Fever 2 Schönbau in the baddest English and with further impressions. See you soon. Have a nice day. Goodbye.